Welcome, boys and girls, to the 34th episode in the Crush Cash Games series. As always, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, just click that little button. And also, if you haven't joined my newsletter at www.enhanceyouredge.com, I think you'll find some pretty good value there as well. So, this episode is featuring Mr. Will Collins. What is up, sir?
Just ready to get into the wonders of the Bovada Cash Games today.
Yeah, I think the action was fairly good this session, so.
It's a wonderful place.
Min raised the queen deuce at the top right and led out for 12. What do we think of the min check raise from the villain?
It's not as polarizing as you think. Some pairs, a lot of good turn cards for you, and he's giving you such a good price so you can just call in position.
Yeah, I think if we raise the button with queen deuce and flopping top pair on this type of board, we can't just fold to one click on the flop, especially from what's more than likely going to be a fish.
Yeah, min clicking in the small blind is pretty indicative of that. I don't expect him to bet this card with a bluff too often. The ace of diamonds, at least. Yeah,
so I think with the queen deuce, we should probably be betting the turn and then checking back the river. Or do we check back the turn? What do you think?
You get more value from just betting here. He can call with all his jack 10, 9-10, 9-8, jack 8, things like that. Even his king jack wants to call one street here.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I'm pretty sure that I check back the turn. So I like betting the turn better than checking it back. And we actually have a lot of action going on right now. At the bottom left, we called the raise in position with the ace-queen to keep in a lot of the range that we dominate. On queen 8-5 facing a c-bet, what do we like?
It's kind of nice to mix in a raise here sometimes. Since you're new to the table, I think it's better to just call.
Yeah.
If you had some dynamic and you knew the villain a little more, I think it'd be really good to raise there. They wouldn't expect that you'd raise ace queen.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're 2 for 2 now with decisions because I of course raised the ace queen. And I'm raising it for value as well, and and very much prepared to get it in. I think our raise on the flop is going to be interpreted as very polarized, and I think he's going to be willing to put money in bad very often, and also with ace queen in this spot. Like if he does have aces, kings, a set of 8s or a set of 5s, we're still paying off 3 bets anyway. So
yeah, I
think this is I mean, at the time, I thought it was the best way to play it to get max value.
I like it.
So, the queen deuce, I don't think we can bet it for value at that point on the river.
No. Yeah, and see, those are the hands we're looking to get value from on the turn, the 10-9 type.
Yeah, we want to charge him with his pair and his straight draw. So,
At least you know he's a fish.
Yeah, I will. I for sure regret not betting the turn, but what can you do? Poker's a game where I think in my entire poker career I've never played a session that I felt like I made the right play every single hand, and I don't think really anybody feels that way. There's always things that you regret or you wish you could change. But you just try to learn from them and grow as a player.
Yeah, and I think if you think that you're making the perfect decision on every single play during a session, you need to look more critically at your game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's definitely a characteristic of a lot of good poker players that I've gotten to know, like yourself and a lot of people that we know. It's just they look very critically at what they do, and they don't sugarcoat it. If they make a bad play, they go about correcting it.
Yep. I mean, that's how you grow. When you think you play optimally every single session, poker requires you to be very self-critical. Like, something that everybody has to deal with.
Now, on that ace-8, did you c-bet the flop?
The ace-8, I did c-bet the flop, and then the king came on the turn. I expected to face resistance on the turn, so I opted not to go ahead and triple. I checked it back, and then he overbet the river that connected a lot of the gut shots, or tray 6 and a wheel gut shot as well.
Yeah, if he's overbetting, then I think it's good. It's probably good to triple sometimes against some weak tight opponents, but
yeah, we really have no info on that particular opponent.
Yeah, it's tough to just want to triple barrel dry boards against unknowns.
I mean, I want to.
Believe me, I wanted to see it.
I mean, I always want to pull out the triple barrel, but we can't do it every time.
I'll limp under the gun in the top left.
Yeah, and that guy's talking to another player that he just busted, actually. Talking smack. I don't know what lob lolly means, but wheel played, I'm assuming, is well played. So this guy who's talking shit to somebody who just gave him a very soft double up actually does something pretty funny here and basically times out.
Right.
Yeah.
He got his double up and he's just going to disappear back into bravado.
Yeah, limp calls 16 and then just times out.
Yeah, one of your other videos you said something really funny about disappearing back into the void of bravado. That'd be laughing pretty hard. And then let's see what you do with the ace deuce here. Just calling. Yeah. I like just calling. I like mixing in 3-bets sometimes, but calling out of position of those hands is perfectly fine.
With the ace-4 at the bottom left, I opted to float with a gutter and back to a flush draw.
Mm-hmm.
Plan is going to be to rep diamonds.
Okay.
Also, for anybody who's paying attention, I had my F-Lux on just now, and so the screen changing color is not your imagination. I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
Ace deuce after the check. Oh, I guess we have a couple of interesting spots at the same. Oh shoot.
What I was gonna say is when you floated with the gutter and backdoor hearts, I think your float is gonna be really credible here because most of the time you aren't gonna be floating in here a lot.
Yeah.
So he's gonna expect a lot of value like diamonds, sets, king queen, king jack, stuff like that.
I
agree.
He's
not gonna expect you to float when there's another person still to act.
Yeah, I agree. And the top right hand table, I'm pretty sure pre-flop raiser just checks back for a pot control line.
Yeah. You do that with some better aces and some queen X as well.
Yeah, a lot of queen X's. When we turn the flush draw, I don't want to bet too much. I want to price in his queen X's basically.
Yeah, you're getting called by any ace X. It's better anyway, so you might as well keep the queen X on too.
Yep. And down at the bottom left, we have a bittersweet turn card where we make our hand, and it puts up the flush draw.
Very interesting, because I know the pot gets big.
Yeah, so he goes ahead and bets like 75% pot on the turn. What do you make of that?
It's tough because he can have some flushes, but he could also be thinly betting king X with a diamond, ace king with the ace of diamonds. Gonna be a fair bit of value though. He's not gonna keep betting anything worse than king X.
No, to be frank, I was not too happy seeing his 75% pot bet on the turn actually with the ace-4, and if he bets the river, then I'm just gonna fold. We have too many flushes in our range for him to just try to blow us off.
Yeah.
King X.
Yeah, coming back to my point where your float's gonna be very credible, so he should think you have value when you just call him.
Yeah.
He probably thinks he's getting value from a lot of king X.
Yeah, once I flat the turn, he's got to be pretty nervous. He's not betting again. unless he has a flush, I would think. And the ace deuce, we brick the river. What do we think?
On that particular run out, I could go for a small 45 to 55% bet.
Let's see what I do.
I wouldn't mind either checking or betting.
Looks like we went for the 25. The little bitty bet.
Gosh, you bet sixes on the turn.
Huh?
I was looking at bottom left, and he bet sixes on the turn.
Yeah, it's
a weak flush draw and gutter.
Yeah, it's a pretty miserable bet on his part.
Yeah, well, I think that's a decent candidate for check. No, it's probably just a check fold, but I mean, if you're gonna do anything with that hand, I guess check calling's better.
I don't like check calling.
I don't know. It's just all bad. Oh, he's mad at you now.
Yeah, no, I don't know what that word is, but I don't think I want to know.
I love the money trolls.
And he left. He snapped left us.
Yeah, that'll happen. They come and go. 3, 9, 3.
Yeah, we don't got much going on.
No. Queen Jack's call though. And this guy c-bets a lot. May not be the worst card or worst board to check raise. You don't really rep much though.
I mean, I think it's a fine check raise. I actually like check raising better than check folding. He's going to c-bet a very high percentage of the time, and in my experience on boards, we can predict a very high percentage of c-bet bluffs. Check raising is not the worst option.
And you have a decent hand to do it with. You block King Queen, King Jack.
Yep. In my mind, even when guys are in position and we check raise, not repping very much, I feel like most players don't really love floating.
Floating check raises, especially on an anonymous side, that's dicey. It's going to be tough to make a lot of money with that play unless you have a real good read on someone.
Yeah, because what happens on the turn? Like 97% of the time.
He bets a third pot to set up a pot-sized bet shove on the river, and then you don't know if you should shove over him because he's bluffing or he's betting a third pot because he has the nuts. It's just a tough spot.
Yep, and I think most people's thought process at that point is going to be like they have one raise pre-flop, one c-bet invested. They're not going to be willing to put in 2 more bets.
I agree. Yeah, and I've actually been thinking that a lot of the regs that you're gonna make money off of on Bovada, they're gonna be very weak tight. So just in those kind of spots, they're not gonna take those marginal chances against you. I mean, against the people I know and people we talk to, they'll do crazy stuff, but I don't think you can expect that from a lot of people on the side.
No, and we're not playing against ourselves. We're playing against a population.
Correct. This guy's pretty loose in the top left. 69-31 over 13 hands.
Yeah, and I think we could 3-bet the ace-8. We could flat the ace-8 okay. I think on that board I would rather have bet versus his missed c-bet, and then gone ahead and rep diamonds on the turn.
I actually kind of like your check back there. Given his stack size and his stats, I can assume he's kind of fishy. And I think that's a board where a lot of people get stubborn and check call 2 streets. But it wouldn't have been a bad idea to bluff diamonds because I don't think he has any diamond draws in his hand.
Yeah, he's probably got a lot of 10Xs. On that turn when he actually bet pot, makes me think he has some jack 10s in his range as well, some turn 2 pair type hands.
That's true. Yeah, go ahead and 3-bet the kings at the bottom. I like your sizing too. That's just enough. He's got a shorter stack. Don't need to make it a full 40 or a full 4x.
Yeah. We could actually size down with kings and invite more calls with the top part of our range versus the short stacks. He doesn't appear to be like one of those super fishy short stacks that calls all 3-bets.
Yeah. He has fairly conservative stats from the look of it.
I'm liking the 1 seat at the top left table. He looks to be a pretty juicy guy.
Sitting right, you're right. He got it in with the ace queen versus 9-9 over there. Is what I saw.
Yeah, he made an ace on the river.
And this is a spot that I have trouble with sometimes too. This right here. Ooh. That's what I usually do is 4x over that.
Yeah, my mouse has a mind of its own.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's good to check back those second pair hands. Multi-way, I feel like if you bet, you're kind of going to get your information right away. If someone calls, they're going to have more than likely a better 9 than you or a king. So
yeah.
You figure it out right away.
Yeah, and we're just betting basically for protection and to grab our equity in the hand where we're at.
Yeah, saying that, I prefer betting them. There's no reason to check and have a queen or something roll off.
Yeah.
So your top left table is looking like it's the best table. Definitely looks like your best table. But this bottom left one has some promise too.
Yeah.
Getting it in with the queen 10. Oh, the shorty had the 10-10. Okay.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Top right table doesn't look so fantastic.
No, it doesn't. A little half stack.
Yeah, I do like the fact that the short stack's on our direct left. The short stack can't leverage our full stack. I like having position on a full stack and having a little guy on my left, but apparently he just reloaded.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, that is good. Have more leverage in position against the regulars that are going to be full stacked, whereas you're going to be playing fairly straightforward against a short stack fish, whether or not he's on your right or left.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind opening queen 7. Player 1's a little loose, but I think sometimes I open the queen 7 suited in the cutoff.
Yeah, I mean, I do as well, but I would like to do it with a nitty guy on the button.
Yeah, that is the issue that guy's playing. The guy's pretty active over 25 hands. Oh, wow. So then top left is definitely just a call with the 1 seat there.
Yeah. And I remember this spot being a little tricky. Flopping middle pair versus that size bet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a good turn card for you. It's very interesting. I don't know I feel like a lot of 5, 6s, and 7s. 5, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s will all want to bet there. 1 can still have some of those, and 5 will bet a lot of those too.
Look at that value bet.
Oh man, what did he have?
I don't know, but I'm gonna assume ace high.
Well, that at least tells us about a little something about seat 5.
Yeah, I mean,
how we think he's going to size his bets.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good value bet as well. I think he's a pretty good player.
Yeah. And I could go either way with the ace-queen. Given this guy's tighter stats, I think he's going to fold a lot. But when he calls, I don't know if we're going to have too many dominating aces or queens.
Yeah. So on this board, what's the plan?
To c-bet, and if he calls, barrel kings, queens, aces, and then probably check fold the rest.
I like barreling on a lot of turn cards, actually. If I think his 8s versus 10s are going to be peeling one bet. But I would have rather, instead of sizing it at 56, I would have rather sized down on the flop at like 32 and made sure his 8s through 10s, even some of his 7-8 suited or A7 suited type hands, peel the flop. And then on the turn, I want to try to leverage his whole stack and bet about 78% of the pot, approximately.
See, that's nice thinking too, because you want to incentivize the hands that you can bluff and barrel on really easily to call. You don't just want his sets and his ace jack and queens to call.
Exactly. We want his range to be very wide, especially if we plan on barreling future streets. And we can kind of manipulate that with our bet sizing.
Yeah, and you'll always be able to leverage the stack on the turn. So
yeah, so this turn, definite barrel.
Yeah, I gotta write that down actually. I remember that. That was a really good little piece of advice. Yeah. Yeah. See, now when we bet this, it's a little weird. If we would have bet a little smaller, we'd set ourselves up a little better sizings for turn and river.
Yeah, I wanted him to make sure that he knew we were committed.
Yeah, because this guy's got to be calling off his whole stack. He's not going to call this and then fold the river.
We did do we had another little hand going on with the ace-10. We flatted from the small blind with ace-10 suited.
Yeah.
And check raise this board. Versus a small c-bet. Thoughts?
Because it is very small sizing. It's tough to rep anything. It's always kind of the issue on a paired board. It's hard to rep anything. It just depends how sticky this villain's going to be on the flop. Is he going to recognize that we're not repping much, or is he just going to play the strength of his hand?
And I like check raising these small continuation bets because they give us such a good price to bluff. I mean, there's 36 in the pot, and we're raising to 40.
Yeah.
So if we can fold him out more than 50% of the time, it's going to be a profitable check raise. And I believe that he is folding more than 50% of the time.
I believe so, yeah. Even if he's got 7s or 6s, it's a very weird spot.
I mean, he may be suspicious, but even when people are suspicious, they have to, they got to grow a pair and do something about it. Not many people do.
Mm-hmm. And then checking in position.
The 6-7?
Yeah. I don't hate checking back some flush draws in position. On this particular instance, I like betting a little more, just because you can rep. You can rep a lot of jacks, a lot of 10s, and you can check back the turn.
Yeah.
And realize your equity for free.
Yeah. This was just a board where I felt I was going to face. I was going to face friction if I did bet on the suited jack 10, so I opted to check back and kind of disguise my flush draw.
And then we called the raise, called a c-bet on 6-6-7.
Yeah. It looks like we're reaching back for some chips.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked about this with you, where I know you don't do it often, but if you're going to float on paired boards, you like calling flop and then raising turn because you feel like your raise is more credible for trips.
Yeah, I mean, don't you feel like that's how most people are going to play their trips?
Correct. And in this bet sizing, it's kind of weak.
Yeah, and the king's going to be a card where I expect him to barrel quite frequently. And actually, in this spot, I kind of think that with a raise, we may can fold out some of his king X's and get him to call with some worse hands.
Like 8-9 hard draws.
Yeah.
Probably 5-4 too.
So definitely, if he calls, that means we are not going to be bluffing hearts.
Absolutely.
Because we think that's going to be a pretty large part of his calling range.
Yeah, and given his sizing, it looks like 10s and 9s, 8s. A lot of those hands are kind of scared of the king, still want to bet their hand, so it just makes it a weak half-pot bet. You can't stand any resistance.
If we did float with like king-queen, should we be raising king-queen for value on that turn?
Given this particular villain, I would like it, yeah. If you have someone that's going to be a little more barrel happy, I like just calling and letting them just bluff away at it.
Yeah.
But against him, I think it's good. Then ace-king in the top right. Shorty to our left. Playing about 30% of his hand so far. But it doesn't look like we're going to get any action.
No.
And then this 9-6, I was limping. I was going to say 3-bet it, but...
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was playing last night, and someone 3-bet on the button against cutoff. It was and then something happened, and I remember he ran out of straight, and he turned over his hand. The 3-better did, and it was 5-deuce offsuit. I was like, oh, man. People are watching your videos, dude. That was the first thought I had.
Yeah, I've faced some guys who have limped in the small blind versus the big blind, and I've raced, and they've limp raced me, and I curse myself.
That fad's trending away now. We're coming up with new fads right now for the player pool.
Yeah, I know. I haven't been doing that lately either, because I don't like distinguishing myself, like, especially releasing videos and stuff. I don't want anybody to know that I'm me while I'm playing.
Yeah, I wish you'd have 3-bet that queen 9 over there.
Yeah, me too, actually. It's a good spot.
And you raised 2.5x, so we get a better price to 3-bet anyways.
I was probably just sad that the guy on my right left.
Yeah, he ran up a nice little stack.
He was up to 900 or so.
Yeah. I never mind, though, because I know they're still going to have that money in their account.
Oh, they always come back.
Yeah.
What about the 10s versus this guy at the top left?
I think the only option is calling in position, given his stats. I don't really like anything else. I don't like 4-betting because we just fold out all his bluffs, and he's just going to jam all his value. This is an interesting board, though.
And it's especially like
I like check.
Like versus a check. I'm not going to say all villains, but most players will bet their bluffs on the flop. And the fact that he checks, and, I think that makes it a little bit more credible.
Yeah, a little more value. Where he check back his jacks, nines, some king. I think he bet that.
I think he would check some of his kings and his aces. I mean, if he has
some combinations.
How many queens do we really have in our range if he has aces? Like,
if he has aces, not many.
And if he has kings, he still blocks king queen suited. So we have ace queen, but I mean, if I have ace queen, I have ace queen. Do you just fold the turn like I did? Hello? Well, it appears as if we lost Will for the last part of this video. I would have liked to have 4-bet the Queen Jack actually at the top right table. But, well, guys, I I apologize that the oh, you're back.
Am I?
Now you're back, yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
Oops.
do you just fold?
I need to see your screen again.
on the 10's hand, do we just fold to a turn bet by the villain?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way you play that hand. And for all the reasons you stated, he's just going to have a lot of value there. Just he's going to own us with Jack there sometimes, so...
Yeah.
It's fine to play it as a set mine given his stats.
And I'm going to let this Jack's hand play out, and then gonna end our video with Mr. Will. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Like I said before, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and click the button. Will, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed it.
When are we gonna have our own video?
Our own video?
Yeah.
Are we playing heads up?
No. Or you can make your video and I'll come on and
I like it.
do it the other way around.
I like it. We got projects in the work.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, y'all have a great weekend. Make good decisions and bring home the money. See y'all.